Welcome into the Behind the Wall pregame show, sponsored by the Student Bookstore downtown. Penn State is in the Big Ten championship. We have big Keith Goon-Conlon moseying his way in. Just a minute late. I had a good intro lined up. I was going to say playing Oregon for the first time since 1994. Rose Bowl champs. So we're going to get the scoop from the guy that played Oregon last, actually, for Penn State. I don't know. I mean, it was well before I was born. I was still a twinkle in my dad's eye last time that happened. Last time we had Oregon out there. There he is. What's up, buddy? How you doing? Long night for you? Keith Goon-Conlon has now joined us. All right. So,
what's up, buddy?
How are we feeling? What was the reaction? I got to see you a little bit yesterday, but Penn State's in the Big Ten championship, and I feel like when we woke up, not a lot of people were dreaming of that. I think it was thought Michigan had two players opt out, their two best players, tight end Loveland, and then Will Johnson, the best cornerback in America, also opted out, and they still found a way to win. Or did
Ohio State lose?
I think Ohio State lost. I mean, that was bad. That was
Ryan Day still the coach today.
You lost.
I thought they would have sacrificed him at the post-game ceremony
in like the middle of the locker room,
exactly.
Just like
lop his head off.
Yeah, I mean they should. I mean,
I'm just stunned by it. I really am. I woke up this morning. I was sitting there talking to my wife, and I was like, I just really can't believe. And it's amazing. It's great that we now are playing for the Big Ten title, but you know. This time last week was completely different. It was like, oh, we're gonna have a home playoff game, this and that. People are, buying parking passes. I'm buying tickets, and now it's like, well, are we going to Indy or not?
Well, that's kind of the thing about the tickets is, they're refundable. I mean, they didn't actually take anybody's money.
They
didn't take any money, but people probably bought plane tickets and hotel rooms. I would venture to guess, which it's not all the way. I don't want to obviously go this route, but if we were to lose, I do think we would still have a home playoff game. I don't know. They're saying the committee is saying for the college football playoffs that they're not going to take championship game losses into account that much. I don't trust them with Penn State because they have a vendetta against the Big Ten.
Georgia is going to play for the SEC title, and if they lose, they're going to have 3 losses. Now you can't take the SEC runner-up and not have them in the playoff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just stunning and alarming. I
don't think anybody was ready for this. Like I said, we woke up yesterday.
How bad they were.
I'm like, damn, we couldn't have seen that team.
Whit was telling everybody that they threw the game.
I know.
And
people
I
are like,
aside, and I said, Whit, there's no human being on this earth as a football player who says, I'm going to go out and lose this game.
No, you best believe they wanted that rematch with Oregon.
Absolutely they did.
And, now obviously they're not going to get I'm curious to see where Ohio State is going to end up in the rankings. You lose to what I guess Michigan was a 5-win team at the time. That goes to show you, though, 6-1. College football at this point, it is truly, how it was any given Sunday. And that was kind of the motto in NFL because everybody's good. Because of NIL and transfer portal now, this has really evened out, and it feels like every time that a team plays, it really is any given Saturday now, anybody can win this thing. Oh, we got my man Hawk. And oh boy, Aeneas Hawkins probably woke up after a long one last night. All right, so chance to be number one team in America.
Did you think that Vanderbilt had a chance against Alabama?
No, didn't.
Northern Illinois versus Notre Dame?
No, I wouldn't say so.
I mean, everybody's got some bad losses out there. I mean, Texas is the one that really weirds me out. Like, they got destroyed by Georgia, and then they play pretty well against A&M last night.
They did. They looked solid.
Points as usual. Once again.
Yeah, I think Texas will handle Georgia. In the
second time around.
Yeah. I think they're gonna do it again. It's a lot harder
on that.
What's that?
Me and Iron had always talk about this. Like he talk about wrestling. How I think it's easier for the person who lost.
Oh, I agree.
To be motivated to win the second time around.
You have a little bit more.
You know what I mean? And then so we're talking about Georgia and Texas. I mean, Georgia whooped Texas. Georgia's not going to change their game plan. Texas is.
Right.
Because they know it didn't work the first time, so they're going to change. But Georgia's not. So I think the motivation is there for the upset the second time around. The losers coming out of that to win that game. So
I like that take. I just think Georgia. I think Carson Beck isn't that great. He's
hot and
struggled
cold,
on
man.
this
Yeah.
on this back half of the season. Georgia's quarterback Carson Beck has been lackluster to say the least. That is for sure. So yeah, now we what's interesting is when we played Ohio State, the opportunity was there to be the number one team in the nation. The path was there. If we would have been Jack Straw, my better half is having a shopping weekend with her friends to make use of our hotel room.
Wow.
Poor guy. So now you don't get to imagine that. You book a
Jack, what did they charge you? Did they charge you home football rates or?
I hope it wasn't and they got you on the 2-night minimum.
That's a hell of a shopping trip.
Oh my God. Poor Jack. Jack, we're praying for you, brother. Opportunity, like I said, it was all there against Ohio State, and you felt it. We were all out there earlier this year, and the opportunity to be the number one team in America was there for the taking, obviously down the road. And it got taken away from us, and it didn't feel like there was a path back to that. I don't think that was even a thought in someone's mind. Hey, Penn State can still end up the number one team in the nation.
Well, we hit the playoff, though.
Well, yeah.
I meant, sorry.
It was. I'm more meant.
Seasons, it wouldn't have been an opportunity.
Right. Going into the playoffs, though, you to be ranked number one, it hasn't happened in this century for Penn State. And so to have that opportunity, I think, is pretty neat. And like I said, to get it again, because you kind of got it taken away. Like you said, you had the playoffs. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like we were out of the playoffs and we got brought back in. We were always going to have that opportunity. But to be remembered for something and be the number one team in the nation and then also be Big Ten champs and then get to go on to the playoffs, there's a big difference there. Because that's what everybody was saying. Because we always let's talk about from a player perspective. People are like, oh, let's lose this game. And I know it's like, or excuse me, not lose to Maryland, but let's not go, or people were rooting for Ohio State. Let me rephrase that. Not wanting us to go to the Big Ten championship.
Because
and I'm like,
we wanted to be locked in for their home play.
To this, everybody kind of wanted to succeed. And I think selfishly, a lot of people around State College probably.
$20 million
oh my God.
In the local economy.
Do you know how much money that would inject
yes.
into State College if we had a home playoff game, especially
somebody said 15 to 20 million
on December 21st, where normally you don't have anybody in State College? I mean, it would be awesome. So obviously there's a shot to win the Big Ten championship. So that's big. But as a player, though, as you know, let's talk about you guys. You are remembered for 94, and there's a reason for that. Now, if you were a guy on the 95, 96, 97, 98 team, are you really remembered for anything? Not really. I'm just saying. I mean, you're great. I'm not knocking the guys that were on
for them.
Exactly. There's no reunions. They're not coming on the field at halftime against Illinois earlier this year on homecoming weekend.
We win this weekend, and you guys will be.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be fun to watch. I thought. How about so there was a brawl at midfield after the Ohio State Michigan game, which
you had 4 quarters to prove your toughness.
And
you saw my Facebook post on.
I did see it.
I can't stand it. It's like you're not allowed to run on another team's sideline without getting in a fight by 100 people. It's like, come on, man. Everybody's trying to be tough guys out there. It's like stupid. So again, all these fights post game and stuff like that during the game. You got 4 quarters to prove how tough you are and how big of a tough guy you are, and then you still want to do it after the game. You had your chance.
I agree. I think the main problem was that Michigan went to plant the flag at midfield of Ohio State's midfield, and Ohio State's defensive end Jack Sawyer was not a fan of that. And what's interesting, fun fact here. I don't have a
problem with that.
What, going to fight? Yeah, if someone plants the flag at midfield, I'm going to try to fight you.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm racing with my helmet on. That was my other thing. If you're going to get into an all-out brawl, why'd they take your helmet off? Because there was a couple guys you could watch and you were like, oh, he's catching a couple licks to the jaw. I mean, guys were bloodied up. Guys were getting maced in the face by the police. I mean, because it cuts to 2 Michigan players and you're like, oh, are they crying because the upset? No, they're crying because they got tear gassed in the face. It was crazy, but there was fights all over the place because it was rivalry weekend yesterday, and it was.
Locks and Franklin almost went at it after the game.
He did, and I don't have a problem with what Franklin did or what he said. Franklin, we scored a touchdown on the final play with no time left, and it was our 3s and our 4s that were in. And basically, Mike Locksley said, hey, I don't think that's fair. Don't do that. That's not cool. And Franklin said, I don't really care what you think. And he said that to everybody. I don't care what Locksley thinks, and I don't care what anybody else thinks. I did it, and if you're upset about it, that's your problem. I like that stance, and that was a good stance for him to take of just kind of shutting everything down. If you want to care, cool, that's on you.
With that said, if it happens to us, we can't complain.
That's a very good point.
And I would be upset. And I'm just like, this is what we get.
I think it would be lying if we said it was there's a couple of things that factor in. Franklin obviously wasn't here for what he was, 2014. Yeah. Yeah, Franklin was here for the no handshake.
It was his first year.
It was his first year. He was obviously, we know his history with Maryland, was kind of thought to be the next head coach, and then didn't happen. So not some great blood there. And then he's just a bunch of guys that are Maryland guys on the team. There's just bad blood with Maryland and Penn State.
Recruiting battles.
Yeah, they are. Oh, yeah.
Loxley's talked about locking down Maryland for a decade now, and we just go down there and pick and choose guys like you. You know?
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
You guys, Maryland's putting up the pressure on you to stay home and be a local guy and this and that. You're like, no.
Well, I told you that's why I was okay with. That's why I was cool with what happened at the end, and Franklin kind of giving him a little bit of business because.
Well, tell him what did to you.
Yeah, Loxley called me after the 2020 COVID Maryland game where they beat us by 14, 16 points. It was a bad day. And he FaceTimed me with Tulia Tungalova, who was the quarterback at Maryland, Tua's little brother. And he started basically showing me the tape and laughing. I was a commit. I was a Maryland commit. I hadn't signed at this time. And he was still trying to get me.
You committed to Maryland?
Oh, excuse me. Oh, my God. I can't even believe those words came out of my mouth.
I
committed to Penn State. I was still a recruit. Maryland was trying to get me. That would have been, that's a big blunder there. Trust me. Goon, I was never committed to Maryland. No. Ever. No. But, so I'm okay with it. They're arrogant at Maryland. And you know what? You just won 1-8 in the Big Ten. Just go ahead and get better. Arrogant and bad, too. That's the worst part. It's kind of spectacular how that works.
They're fake tough guys.
They are. All right, so fun fact for you here. Ohio State and Michigan. All the guys in the Ohio State recruiting class of 2021
they
never beat Michigan once, except there was one person in that recruiting class that beat Michigan.
Who transferred where?
Quinn Ewers was in that is in that Ohio State 21 class, went to Texas, and now beat Ohio State earlier this year. Beat Michigan earlier this year. Only guy in that recruiting class to do so. So I thought that was interesting. Goon.
Yuck.
We haven't played Oregon since '94.
I know.
What kind of tips do you have? What I don't know. They might be a little different now, huh? What, 30 years later?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, a little bit of reunion. It's not Big Ten. It was Rose Bowl, but fast forward 30 years exactly.
We should watch the game one day.
The whole thing's up on YouTube.
I know.
We're gonna watch it.
We'll first play of the game. I mean, it's well known, and anybody who listens to any of my shows will know that literally nobody blocked the right person on the opening play touchdown. Yeah. So for those that don't know or are only listening, so Goon here was the swing tackle. So you were going back and forth, right tackle, left tackle, right on that on that 94 team playing next to Kyle Brady. And on that first Kajana Carter 80-yard touchdown run, nobody blocked anybody. Nobody blocked the right people. We got blocks, but no one blocked the right person.
Okay, excuse me.
And then he broke a tackle is what happened.
He did.
A guy came free, and he just ran through the.
Well, a couple of guys were like the offensive linemen were like falling on the, but they got in people's way and just kind of Kajana made it happen. That's what happens when you got a good back.
I mean, as well as I do, you get nerves. You play in the Rose Bowl, you're out there the first play of the game. I don't care. We play in front of 100,000 people all the time, but it's still the Rose Bowl. And we were very, very bitter as a team because of the night before with Bob Costas at NBC crowning Nebraska the national champions because they beat Miami. And we were just like, dude, we didn't have a chance here. So we get down, we call 40 pitch. It's just our standard pitch play to Kijana, fullback lead. They come out, I'm covered, and if I'm covered, I got to call the tight end down, and I'll pull around. But, what we do is normally I would be blocking down if there's no one on me. So before the snap, they jump around. And I had already called Kyle down to block the guy on me, and I was going to pull, and then all of a sudden I was uncovered. And I'm like, and I pulled. And then Jeff Harding is such a good athlete because he's supposed to pull, but I'm supposed to block down on the 3 technique. He pulls, sees that I'm pulling, goes back and blocks the 3 technique. No human being can do that.
That is why he played in the NFL for a long time.
So I pull around. Brian Milne blessed the outside linebacker, and then he's standing in front of me, and I just got a piece of him, and I tripped over Milne, and Kijana broke 1 tackle, 183 on the first play. We come to the sidelines, and I will tell you this afterwards, but we come to the sidelines, and our coach is like, hey, who blocked who did this? And I said, I pulled. He looked at me and goes, what? I said, I pulled. I said, I called Kyle down, and he's like, wow, what? And he goes, all right, Jeff, what did you do? He goes, well, I saw Goon pull, so I blocked the 3 technique. And he's like, what the hell? And then he goes, what about backside? Who got cutoffs? And they were all like, we missed all of our guys. So he's like, not one person blocked the right person. And we're like, yeah. He goes, we're pretty good, aren't we? And that was how he thought. But
the realization you have Kajana Carter.
I will say that play happening was the worst thing to happen to us that day because we let our guard down a bit because we were like, oh, this is going to be easy. We're going to win by 100 because that's what our goal was. I kids.
Aeneas Hawkins said Brian Millen was my high school shot put coach.
Oh, he was unbelievable shot put coach.
Really?
Yeah, he was All-American at discus as a true freshman. He threw the discus. He was training for the Olympics in discus and the shot put and all.
You know, guys are different now. Everything's so specialized in sports. But back in the day, like in the 90s, you guys were just playing everything, like doing everything. How many sports did you play?
High school?
Yeah.
3.
Yeah. See, you can't really do 4. That's hard.
You can do, like, I actually lettered in 4 my senior year because I threw indoor shot put, qualified for the States, and then was playing basketball at the time and ended up the same weekend that basketball title was and the PIAAs were state. And I was like, my basketball coach goes, if you're not on that bus for practice tomorrow, you're not playing on Sunday for the title. And I was like, okay. So I didn't go to the thing. But
man,
I qualified, but I didn't. And then when I threw in the spring.
Okay.
Yeah, but I did play baseball as a younger kid. And then I figured a 6'8" strike zone's a little large.
I'm not gonna work there.
That got slipped off pretty quick as a freshman year. So
yeah, I'm sure about that. So something interesting that's coming up this week. National Signing Day is normally, I think I signed like December 16th or 17th. It is the 4th. It's Wednesday. So what that means is that the Penn State coaches and personnel are going, and they make a big thing out of it. I mean, they don't just post a couple graphics and get the
signing period, right?
No,
every a big one.
Now, early signing period is now I remember. So when I was signing, I said to Coach Franklin, originally I wasn't going to early enroll before COVID, and so I decided to early enroll after COVID. But I remember Franklin saying to me, "Hey, we want you to sign with the early signing period, even though you're not going to early enroll." And so now they put everybody on the early signing day. And really, for most schools, the late signing day isn't a thing.
But it's weird, because why would they do that you're penalizing Oregon and Penn State for playing in a title game.
You're absolutely right. And it's going to be really difficult because, like I said, it's a whole production. They do it like an NFL draft. Yep. And I remember I had the day I signed, I had Donovan Smith. So it's always a Penn State letterman comes on and drafts the recruit. They put him up on the board. So I had Donovan Smith say my name and like announce me as a pick. And it's this really cool thing they have going on. There's a lot of time that goes into it. So needless to say, you got that on Wednesday, and then you got Oregon in the Big Ten Championship Saturday night, 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's it. Yeah, we'll be the 8 p.m. game. They just announced. So that'd be fun.
Always is.
Yeah, it always is. Big Ten's always 8 p.m. Yeah, game. That's what I thought. So
and we'll find out Sunday. Playoffs.
Yeah, playoffs. That should be interesting.
Like you don't think, God forbid, we go out and get slaughtered. We're not going to drop out at the 12.
No.
I think we're in no matter what.
Can't drop out.
So who said that about the conference titles?
That's like what the college football playoffs put out. They put out saying, hey, we're basically going to I think what they're saying is as long as you don't get blown out in your conference championship, we're really going to try to not let that affect.
Because it's unfair.
It is. Other teams are sitting at home.
Yes. Everybody else is sitting at home. Like Ohio State's got, what we had last week. And that would have been, okay, we got 3 weeks to prepare for a home game. Like I was talking before the game, before Michigan even started, and we were talking like, we had it pretty easy because like we know, like my one buddy Chris was like, there's like 30 teams, like 15, 20 teams right now that are still eligible for the college playoffs. And everybody's got to worry about, home tickets and this and that. He goes, I think we've got it pretty easy. We know that we're in, and we have a home playoff game. All Michigan has to do is, not lose to Ohio State, and Ohio State's a 20-point favorite.
Yeah. Fun fact about you talking about favorites. The conference, all the conference championships. I think there's 7 total leagues, including not every single one is within 7 points. So every game is the line is within 7 points. 3.5. Yeah.
Plus 3.5?
No, plus 3.5 for Penn State. Yeah. So Oregon is favored by 3.5. Neutral field. They still got to come, obviously, a little further than us. They got to come more cross country than we do, but should be an interesting weekend. The Big Ten Championship. Let's see. Let's get some comments. Josh says the Big Ten Championship is always the night game. Yeah.
Yes.
No, it's gonna be. Oh, this is gonna be cool. Aeneas Hawkins, is he gonna be? He asked if we're gonna be there. I will not be there. You gonna be there?
I'm going to New York Friday we were gonna do a bus trip to go see the tree.
Little reroute.
That was our day, and now I'm like,
Reroute the party bus, man.
7.5 hours to Indianapolis. Yeah.
Ooh. That's what a lot of Penn State fans do. I recommend if you want to go to the game a fun way, there's a ton of party buses. I've heard it's kind of a fun way to do it. So that should be cool. Let's talk about just Oregon in general for 1 second. People talk about, hey, there's no real good teams. Anybody can win. If you were to point to the best team, it's Oregon. It's the reason they're the number 1 team in the nation. There's a reason they're defeated, undefeated. And if you look at Oregon from the top down, they have a Heisman candidate quarterback. They have speedsters. I mean, just speed demons at wide receiver, at running back. They have a very good, solid offensive line, as they normally do. And then they have a top 5 defense. And like at the end of the day, and they have a good coach in Dan Lanning that's a motivator and that they want to play for.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's going to be a heck of a game.
It is. And I think someone just said in the comment section, I mean, we're gonna have to be physical.
Oh yeah.
Up front. I mean, that's where the game is going to be won. Give you this Oregon last night against Washington. I know it's Washington. 10 sacks, which is a school record. Oregon just set a school record for sacks last night, and 16 tackles for loss. The Washington offense was not going anywhere.
How many sacks did we get against Washington? Do you recall?
Oh, it was pretty good. I can pull that up real quick.
There's a pretty deuce line they have out there.
Yeah, well, that's a good comparison.
I don't care. 10 tackles or 10 sacks and 16 tackles for loss.
Well, they're dominant up front. Let me tell you, they got DJ Uiagalelei's little brother, Mateo Uiagalelei. He's got 8.5 sacks on the year.
3 times quick.
It's not easy. I actually favor.
You kill that.
I favor saying Uiagalelei more than I say Tua Tagovailoa. It's harder.
I just say Tua.
Yeah, just Tua. By the way, he's killing it. All right, so we had 5 sacks, 9 TFLs for them, and I think overall just being. Someone said 4.5-hour flight from Eugene, Oregon to Indianapolis. Yeah. I mean, we have 1.5-hour flight from State College. So definitely a little bit more of the home team if you're Penn State. We're actually going to take a break real quick, and then we will be right back talking a little bit more Penn State, Oregon. Woo. Oh, I almost ended stream. That would have been bad, guys. I will be right back about 2 minutes. Gooner here needs to get some coffee in him.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half-century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
2 of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going. With the Happy Valleys 98.7 The
I understand. All right. Oh, hold on.
Oh, you back now?
We're back. Goon, hold up. Give us a second. Oh, there we go. Now we're cooking.
Yeah.
Now we're cooking with fire.
We were off the air. We was watching old videotapes of the Penn State Rose Bowl.
We were just
Oregon.
yeah. Let me know in the comment section. I told this to Goon. We're gonna go through the Rose Bowl game. I'm gonna have to grade you out. So I'm gonna give Goon a full grade for the game. Did you have a good game? Did you feel like you think?
No, we did not play well on offense.
The O-line played really.
It's pretty weird.
You think it was your worst game in '94
As an offense?
As an offense,
Yes.
Wow.
We just weren't. We were off.
Interesting.
Had a couple fumbles. KC threw a couple picks. No sacks.
I gotta ask. Joe Jaravicius at punter as a freshman.
Backup punter.
Okay, well, so your punter got hurt,
No, he was like we had a distance punter and then like an angle punter.
bro. What? That sounds incredible. That sounds incredibly inefficient.
We punted like 28 times the whole year, I think. So,
Oh man,
and he was the
that's a
backup,
good
but then
point.
he made a huge play late in the game. I mean, if you watch the game in Oregon, they just said we're just going to go with the line of scrimmage and blitz every play, every play. And then once Kijana got to the next level, he just ran. I think he had 3 or 4 touchdowns that game on longer runs type of thing. We had a big kick return. Chuck Benzenek's the unsung hero of the game. He had 2 interceptions that game. He was our 4th-string safety. We had Kim Herring go down during the year. Cliff Dingwall went down during the year.
Your defense got pretty banged up from Brandon.
On the field all the time.
Those poor guys.
Yeah, it was my roommate Todd Atkins. He was a defensive end, and he was like, "Dude, you guys kill us. Like, we go out, we'll get the turnover, and then you run one play and go 84 yards for a touchdown, and we're right back on the field. We didn't get a glass of water yet. We didn't have to catch our breath, and we're having to go back out there."
I gotta imagine that's like hard as a defense because normally I've been on the other side where you go 3 and out, like back-to-back plays, and the opposing offense just has your defense on the field, and you come off the field for like a 3rd time in a row, and you just start to see the defenders kind of eyeing you.
Oh, there's that.
Like you're gonna put us out there like that?
That locker room thing. That's definitely a real thing of being, offense and defense. I mean, defense is just score some points, keep us off the field, and we were scoring points, but they were on the field constantly, and they got chewed up. Our D line was horrendously eaten that whole season. Illinois game we had to play a 30 front because we didn't have enough D tackles.
Oh no!
Yeah,
God,
that's a little known fact of that Illinois comeback game, and we came out.
You guys were basically playing like an odd front.
We were even. Well, we were normally
an even
4-3.
Yeah, normal classic 4-3.
And then in the against Illinois, we came out. We were in a 30 front, like. Because we didn't have down tackles, we had to move our ends down.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
it was a different game back then. Let me tell you what.
Mid game, they had a switch, but I mean, I think it was Noble, and like Chris Mazik. But Vinny Stewart missed that game. He was hurt. Our down tackles, and I think Eric Clare was there. But those guys had to rotate the two inside positions the whole game. It's only 3 the whole day. So they got chewed up pretty good. But
all right, Goon, you were a part of one of the best teams ever here at Penn State. This team has it all in front of them to be able to do just that, be considered one of the best ever. And let's talk about what do you think that takes? I mean, what did it take for –
You're with the guys, and you tell me, did they, as competitors, I think that they were sitting there yesterday saying, yeah, we got to play this game like Michigan's going to win the game.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was definitely the mindset, but trust and believe word got out very quickly throughout, the locker room. As soon as, people were in the locker room pretty much, keeping track of the score. Not players necessarily, but there's like hurt players, that type of thing that
our defensive opening drive looked like we weren't ready to play that game.
Can we talk about that for a second? Because
why is that happening?
We had the glory of, it was like, oh my God, we're in the Big Ten championship. And then come out as long as we beat Maryland. But, of course you're going to beat Maryland. And you come out with a fumble on the first play and they turn around and score a touchdown. I'm going to be honest. I was never worried because they just weren't good. That was a complete momentum thing, a fumble. And then they just get, kind of had Penn State's defense sleeping a little bit. They barely gained any more yards after that. For the most part. And we put our backups in by halfway through the 3rd quarter. One thing I will say that I kind of liked about the ending with Coach Franklin scoring the touchdown is you had a good look at some of the young guys. I always enjoy that.
People always say, "What are you doing? What are you going to try to tell your 2s and 3s? We're going to put you in the game, and you're not going to be competitive. We don't want you to play football. We just want you to kneel on the football.
Goon, that
ain't cool.
We'll talk a little bit more Maryland in a second, but my man Josh Bazin in the comments, he said outside linebacker Killiams and Yayono Cody were blitzing off the weak side in
Fill your bone, Cody.
He said they were blitzing off the weak side. Yeah, he's talking about the 95 Rose Bowl.
Yeah, Killins and Yaboa Cody and Willie Smith, they were all the outside linebackers, and they were
coming after you guys?
No. That was our guys.
Those were our guys.
Danny O'Neill, he was the co-MVP. He was the MVP for Oregon. He threw for like 400 or 500 yards on us, but they couldn't score touchdowns and all. And our guys stopped him. He had a couple costly picks. It wasn't. Honest to God, it was our worst game as an offense in '94. Was that Rose Bowl? I mean, that's scary to even think about because we laid 38 on them. You know, like I said, they were blitzing every play. And it was all or nothing. I mean, they were having a lot of, meet at the line of scrimmage, 1 yard gain, 2 yard gains. But if Kijana got past that line of scrimmage and the blitz, he was gone. I mean, they just went all in on the line of scrimmage and they were blitzing. And then the old man wanted to just run the ball. He wanted to make it an old slugfest. And it's like, dude, they're blitzing every play. And there's 8 guys there. Like, can you try to throw the ball a little bit? And then, honest to God, Jared Vicious had a huge catch that game.
Really? Was his second year? Or was that his first? That was freshman year.
Would have been his freshman year.
Yeah, his freshman year.
So he had a huge catch on the left sideline in the second quarter to give us ball first and goal at the 1 or 2 yard line. And that's the Sports Illustrated cover of them on.
Oh,
when I blocked nobody.
You blocked nobody. You hoisted him up.
I followed him into the end zone.
I actually have it right in my bag right here.
What the
Sports Illustrated. It's actually Spider's version. It's in a really nice case because I'm studying. I got something cool coming out on the. It's like got a nice little
the black leather book.
No, it doesn't have it just has a case to make sure it's protected. Okay. That's a commodity right there. Sure, Big Goon on the cover.
Sure.
So
blocked nobody. Literally blocked nobody. I followed him into the end zone. It was hilarious, and I was like,
that's great. And that's the best part about like your guys. You can find a little bit of tape because I found some tape now, but you can kind of like, you don't get it. You don't get in as much like trouble. You don't get put on social media. Now someone does something dumb, you get like exposed. You're going on Twitter instantly. And it's like back then.
You don't think I go to bed every night saying, thank God there was no cell phones in the early 90s? Every one of my teammates says the exact same thing, dude.
I'm not sure if we had cell phones, how much of that team wouldn't have,
We all wouldn't have been there.
No, it would have been.
Most likely prison.
I think that's most of like your generation because we're ingrained. My generation, it's like, hey, you being
guys
filmed.
Live in a glass. We knew, Joe used to tell us, you live in a glass house. People are always looking at you. You guys truly, the whole world can look at you.
Yeah.
It's pretty unbelievable.
No, it's amazing how much.
When I started doing the player show, the Blue White Player Show Monday night at the Penn State golf courses. Do we have a guest for tomorrow?
I don't think we have one locked in yet. It shouldn't be too hard though.
Yeah,
we're gonna get. Yeah, we always have some good guests out there.
Yeah, like we were talking to some guys on there and throughout the years, and it was weird because you guys do. You do in this generation of kids that you really gotta, watch what you do and say and all that stuff because everybody is watching and it's so easy to put somebody on blast. So easy.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with you.
We could have done that yesterday at our tailgate, and we probably both would have lost scholarships.
Have you heard about this? Jack Straw said there's a great book called Lion Kings written about the '94 season. Yeah, really? I haven't read it. Okay, I'll have to check that out then.
I think it follows the whole season.
Really?
Yeah, or maybe even I think there's a section on each chapter on each player on the offense.
Okay, interesting. Well, speaking, we'll probably we have a Monday night show that we do called the Blue White Player Show at the Modelo Blue White Player Show good at the Penn State Golf Course that we do. And Goon wasn't there last week. Me and Aeneas Hawkins, shout out Aeneas if you're somehow still listening. And we took. Yeah, he's back in bed for sure. So we had Dom Ruley on, who is a walk-on center, and he is the personal protector of the punter. So
he's the new dog.
He is the new dog. And what a lot of people don't know, and I had to share this on here. We got a lot of people listening. I love you, Coach Franklin, but a lot of people are giving Coach Franklin tons of credit. You got balls of steel for having that 4th down punt. They had nothing to do with it. It was literally just Dom Ruley. So how it worked was Dom Ruley gets up and he makes the call. He's the quarterback of the punt team. Those three guys that stand back there, he's the middle one, number 52. And so he got up, and every single time he has 2 play calls. He can call a fake if he wants. I mean, that is the power he has. And obviously it's all about, do you have the look or do you not? So it's a numbers game. Hey, how many guys do we have outside versus inside?
Yeah.
And if we get it, we're going to call it. So he said, I've been looking all season. It's never been there. And we get to that moment. And he said, the numbers were there. And he said, I called it. He said, I looked to my Cooper Cousins, who was to my left. And he said, all right, we're going to do it. Made the call. And the rest was history. So it was nobody except, and it was the most perfectly executed play that there was. I mean, you had guys pancaking dudes downfield.
Hilarious.
Cooper Cousins had
I was like, dude.
Yeah, you're the one that sent it to me.
Because look at him. He's 15 yards down the field.
I did not see.
Drove that guy.
Who was it? I'm gonna have
16.
to. No, it wasn't 16. It wasn't Khalil. It was Zachary Nelson. And you couldn't see it because they switched the camera. You know how they went back camera and then they went wide.
Jumping over.
You couldn't see it. But Zachary Nelson took his man and drove him 15 yards downfield and pancaked him. Like I said, you didn't really see it on any of the tape, but it was one of the most impressive things I've seen. But I had to give Dom really a little shout out because as much as, like I said, special teams, everybody did a great job. He was the one that made the call on that play.
We had a fake punt against Michigan to beat Michigan in 95.
Oh, really?
Late in the game. So we went out there, but Joe had to make a call. Joe had said, run it, and then if you don't have the numbers, you cancel. You kill. And then you run the regular play, the regular field goal. So we go out there, and Joe said, run it. If the numbers are there, run the fake. And Joe Nastasi took the snap. I was a short snapper, and Michigan had it wasn't a sound lineup that they did. They had 3 guys on one side, and they try to overload the other side. Really? There's 3 guys there. There's 5 of us, So we had it all set up all year about running that little fake, and he just took the snap, and I think Harding's pulled, but a bunch of people made some blocks on that one. And then what I'm saying is that we played Auburn a month later in the Outback Bowl, and they must not have watched film because they came out in the same lineup, and it was like, "What are you doing? We ran a fake against this look. Why would you run this look?"
Did you run it?
No.
Oh, you did it? Okay.
We were already slaughtering them.
Yeah.
There was no need to run a fake, but...
You played an Outback Bowl?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
I was one of my favorites down in Florida, right?
My least favorite was the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, Rose Bowl was bad.
I say it because they're conceited and cocky, and they don't look to entertain everybody because they're like, well, we're the Rose Bowl. We don't need to do that.
Go and listen.
I went to the Fiesta Bowl my true freshman year. Unbelievable. I did the Outback Bowl, the Citrus Bowl, Rose Bowl, and I did a Blockbuster Bowl too. That's the one. That's the one. Thank God there was no cell phones.
Yeah.
That was that.
Where was the Blockbuster Bowl?
It was Fort Lauderdale.
Oh no!
We signed up for it in May because the Big Ten and the NCAA kicked us out. We were not available. We were not eligible unless we were undefeated. We were not eligible for any of their bowl games because we were in that. We're not in the Big Ten yet, but we're not. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're in the Big Ten next year. So the old man got furious, and then the Blockbuster Bowl we had played in the year or two before, Blockbuster Video Bowl. We called it the Booze Buster, but there were cell phones on that week down there because the blood alcohol content of the team was about 0.76 during game. It was unbelievably bad because that was the 92 year when everybody's just like, let's get the season over with.
Yeah,
older guys like our bad season that everybody has, and every great season has a preceding like really bad. Like this is not how we do it around here.
That's absolutely right. Goon, we got a nice audience here, over 650 people. Thank you for stopping in. We are live at the Student Bookstore downtown. We are always here after home games, Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. We're talking about the Rose Bowl. What's that?
I'm glad I made this one.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for stopping by, Goon. I want you to give the story. We have a very good opportunity to go to the Rose Bowl this year. If we beat Oregon, then we're in the Big Ten champs. We have a first round bye, and we're automatic to the Rose Bowl. That's how it works because there is historic ties. Too much to get into, but yes, if we beat Oregon, we will be back in the Rose Bowl. So I think it'd be fitting for you to give your Lowry's. What about the team in the Pac-12 that we're going to play? That's right. There's only 2 teams in the Pac-12 right now, technically.
Apologize. Sorry.
All right, so when you go to the Rose Bowl,
are you going to make me bring the Lowry's?
You go to a restaurant Lowry's.
Lowry Steakhouse.
Lowry
The
Steakhouse.
seasoning.
And it's a very cool experience. And you go and, they give you the traditional meal. What is it? Cream corn, big slab of just prime rib.
Beautiful.
Just
Beautiful
perfect.
prime rib.
And
Jus,
I enjoyed
potatoes.
it. I really enjoyed it. We went in 23. I had a great time. Goon went in 94. A little bit of different experience.
They used to do this, but they stopped doing it. And that was because they called it the Beef Bowl.
Right.
Okay. And then one night, Penn State went to the Beef Bowl. And then the next night, Oregon would go. And they would count up how many pounds of meat were eaten that night. And then the winner of the Beef Bowl, Oregon beat us.
Why was that?
Yeah.
Why did they beat you, Goon?
You gotta bring this up, man.
You're going to bring it up, but we got a nice audience, so they need to hear the story.
We already talked about how much we didn't like the Rose Bowl and stuff like that, so it wasn't all that great. And they're like, just wait till you get to this Beef Bowl. And I'm like, all right, man, I got you. I mean, prime rib. I mean, there's 3 things I was put on the start to do: play football, drink beer, and eat meat.
There you go.
I mean, that was my destiny that night.
Mm-hmm.
I was destined that night to have 6 slabs of prime rib. So we get up there and we're getting in line and get the first cut down. And I was like, hey, man, can you make me a little bigger? He's like, just come up as many times as you want. I got to make these standard cuts. I was like, all right, whatever. I said, I go through and I just hammered that first piece. Everybody's done. I stand up to get back in line, and I hear the old man, yes, son, you're too fat. You don't need it. We're too heavy. We're too heavy. We got to be light on our feet. And so no one was allowed to have seconds. Nobody was allowed to get up and have a second piece of meat because we were all too fat and heavy. And we were just like sitting there like, what? Like, it was just like this hunks of meat. They had you saw them, right? When they pulled them out.
Oh, yeah, they were nice.
It's unbelievable. You're just like, and you're just cutting this meat. And he took my destiny from me by not allowing us to have any seconds. So I was literally eating scraps of the little defensive backs and running backs at our table. I was like, dude, get a piece of that, man. Come on, man.
They're pushing you over some fat from the prime rib.
Yeah.
Goon's gnawing on some
I'm
fat.
sitting there. I'm 315 pounds. I have the same amount of food in me as a 158-pound cornerback,
Oh,
come on, this isn't fair. And the old man, he was always worried about weight. You're too heavy. You're too heavy. You're too heavy. We're too heavy. We're slow. So he took our destiny. And then my real good friend, Scotty Kehoe, played at Illinois, and they played in the Rose Bowl in the mid-'80s. And he said that they had some corn-fed, farm boy on the team. They said he had 6 plates. That kid stole my destiny.
Cream corn.
Yep.
Prime rib.
And potatoes.
And some potatoes or something, yeah.
It was amazing.
Wow.
He went up 6 times and got 6 plates.
And you think
we weren't allowed to have a second.
That could have been you thought?
Absolutely. There's
wow.
no doubt.
Dream stolen. Those, I will
Completely
say,
stolen.
We're going to have to get you back. So.
Oh, I talked to Pat last time.
Yeah.
Kraft, and I said, are you going to go? He goes, well, the Beef Bowl's not a thing, but we're going to take the team there. So they took you guys to dinner there, so you guys had the experience, and it's unbelievable.
Oh, it's great.
You know
what's crazy? So I have a football. It's actually up in my studio that it has Lowry's Beef Bowl, and it's Utah versus Penn State, but they named it, but they just didn't do it anymore.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, we played Utah. Yeah.
No, I got you down. Yeah. They did have it, but they didn't.
Yeah, they didn't weigh the food and see who ate more. Yeah, it was a. We got a question for Keith. Do you remember our first Big Ten season in '93 when we were accessed for a timeout for excessive crowd noise versus Michigan?
Yes.
Can you imagine too much noise from 100,000 fans was actually a penalty? That's a real thing.
That happened.
What?
They called a penalty on us
for being too loud.
Yeah,
to fans.
the referee and then the quarterback. I don't know. I think it was Todd Collins at Michigan. If his players couldn't hear his cadence, he would look at the referee and do this, and the referee would tell the fans to quiet down so they could hear their snap. And I'm like, this is the most stupid thing I've ever heard of in my life, because you're taking away the home field advantage and the noise and all that stuff. So they literally, we were on the sidelines yelling at our fans to quiet down because they were charging us penalties and timeouts. It's horrible. It was like a one and done season. They did it one time in the season, in Michigan. Of course, it's Michigan.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. All right, that actually makes the 2019 whiteout timeout on the first play. That makes that a little bit sweeter now, knowing that.
Love that.
That's a great piece of history right there. Refs told us to quiet down in Beaver Stadium.
He got in, and it's even worse. In the 92 year, they were complaining that we were playing Miami, and our fans, it wasn't as ruckus back then as it is now. Like, the student section was a little more spread out, and then our alumni, they were on the visitor sideline and stuff like that, that we were a very subdued, quiet crowd because I believe we were spoiled. They had winning season after winning season, and it was just like, so when I came back in 2005 and we played that Ohio State game on that Saturday night game when we beat Ohio State in 2005, you walked in that stadium and it was electric. It was like you could just feel the electricity in the stadium, and I was like, these people are starving. They've had 4 of the last 5 years were losing seasons. They just wanted that game as much as the team did, and it was absolutely amazing. But in 1992, the players would complain we would be playing Miami at home. We were both undefeated, 5-0, this and that, and then they wanted to they bought speakers in for the cheerleaders so they get the crowd going. They had music blasting. It was a pretty cool environment, right? They had this one Yahoo cheerleader on the microphone when we had the ball going, go, 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 and we're all jumping off sides. And Joe Paterno just like went down there and was like, "Will you please shut the speaker off?" Like he like get the kid is screaming, "Go, go, go, go!" during our offensive plays, and we're jumping off sides because we think it's Kerry Collins saying, "Hike." Crazy. We would go on first sound, and you'd hear the cheerleader go, "Go, go, go!" I'd be, "What are you doing?" Yeah, the old man was furious with that one.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
So you got a comment about the SEC. So isn't it funny how it all works out to the SEC? Now it went from Penn State hosting, Indiana hosting, Notre Dame hosting, and Ohio State. It went from all these northern teams. And you watch. The SEC will get home games next week. After next week.
We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised. A couple of interesting things. Actually, I want to ask you this first before we get. I want to talk a little bit about the playoff bracket and how we have an opportunity to be the number 1 seed. But I think it's interesting that the number 1 seed is arguably harder than the 5 seed. Obviously, you have to play a game, so that factor that, and that's huge. But from the route you have to play, we'll talk about in a second. I want to ask you first.
We have Notre Dame in that spot.
Hey,
because we got to take care of Notre Dame.
Well, that's a good point. Well,
the only people that get taken care of more than the SEC is Notre Dame.
NBC, they love their boys there. Yeah. All right, when you guys came into the Big Ten in '93 was the first year.
We signed up in '90.
No, I signed up in '90, because it takes a little bit. Did it mean anything to you guys to win a Big Ten championship? Like after being in 1 year? No. Who'd you guys even play in the Big Ten championship?
We didn't have one.
Oh, you just declared Big Ten champs.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. Okay, I didn't think there was a game.
Didn't take over until. I mean, the Big Ten didn't have a title. I mean, until like
for a while, right?
2000s, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's a good addition.
To go back to this, and you're saying that the Big Ten and the conference title games are not going to be held over the losers' heads because you're playing an extra game versus the top 10 opponent.
Mm-hmm.
So it should not be held over you because the other 16 teams in the Big Ten are not having to play another game. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it shouldn't be held over their head. But why are we even playing them? Why are we even playing these conference title games? Like, just declare Oregon the champion because then why do you have to go out and play another top 10 game? Because we know why, because it's television.
It's television. Money. Yeah, because they figured, okay, how can we make more money?
Going forward, I'd be interested to see that the conference title games, I think they're going to go away when their TV rights are up. You understand what I mean? Like, I think the television is making them do that, but I think that when it comes time in like 3 or 4 years, when those television contracts are up, I don't think they shouldn't continue playing these games.
Well, I guess the only question is
that we have to play Oregon and Ohio State now is in the same situation we were in last week. They're going to get a home game.
Well, that's the other thing. It's an extra game on the body. Like we just entered into another game on the body versus the best team in the nation.
Correct.
It's not great. No, that's not great for the body. Because I'll tell you this: the players and this went kind of viral on social media of James Franklin saying this in the locker room. But I actually had a couple plans with some of the guys today. Well, guess what? Those plans went out the window when they entered the Big Ten championship.
Correct.
And they no longer have off today. They have to be in the facility, and they were going to have off 2 or 3 days because you're not doing anything for another till December 21st. And now you have a game Saturday. So
versus the number 1 team in the country.
Versus the number 1 team in the country, and you're going to get bruised up a little bit, to say the least.
Turf.
Hey.
Did you ever play on the turf we played on back in the day?
AstroTurf?
Do you ever have to play on
Oh
that turf?
God, no.
Yeah,
That sounds like an ACL waiting to happen or an Achilles waiting to. So one or the other.
Mm.
Like that's
the worst was the burns.
Oh yeah.
Like the what field turf
on the
is what
back
we
of the
play in now.
elbow.
Field turf doesn't
Yeah,
really.
not as much.
Yeah,
field
well,
turf a lot better than AstroTurf.
And the field turf you would get burns all over your arms and your knees, and they don't close. And that cut you have in your arm that you got in week 2 is literally opened up every weekend.
No, it genuinely looks like when I watch old games like from the 90s and they're on AstroTurf, it looks like it hurts to run. Like looking at that surface, it's like, oh my God, it's concrete.
It's concrete with a half an inch pad and then some Velcro. It was bad, man. And then when they painted it, like if you ever look at when they paint those fields, that paint got hard as hell, and it was really, really rough,
almost crusty
and
paint,
rigid, and like it would, yeah, you
like scrape you.
cut up. And the worst thing is the even at practice when you were practicing on turf and stuff like that is you had to clean your AstroTurf wounds because you had and they in the shower, and it would just burn the living daylights out of you. And it was every day. Once you got cuts and stuff like that, those burns, they didn't close.
No, the rest of the season you're dealing with those.
And they had, it was really, really, really crazy stuff they used to do.
Yeah, there's a reason maybe why guys are so messed up now. Nowadays, your group, like the guys that played in the 90s, it's like.
And we actually, it was better. The guys in the 80s.
Yeah, there wasn't much kind of reckless abandon for guys back 70s, 80s. I think you're right. As you got in the 90s, it started to get better. You actually wore like helmets and stuff.
Dude, did you ever go into Letterman's Club, pick up the 80s helmet?
Oh no, I never touched it. Was it heavy?
The face mask weighs more than you. I'm not lying to you, dude.
See, that's the best technology.
I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you because there was the thick gray.
Yeah, the gray
face mask. I'm looking at the picture of Shane right there, and they were actually in the grays, but the big clunky mask they had, I bet you that was 15-pound face mask. That's not a lie. And the helmets were Riddell Air Packs, and the helmet didn't change in my era, but the face masks very much did. The Penn State went to the blue thinner masks in I believe '89.
Okay.
And what a great look! It looks so much better than the old gray.
It does. It look clean. And then we put the gray ones on for the generation of greatness? We do.
Yeah.
I like those uniforms. I think they're cool.
I do.
You never played.
No.
You never played with the number on the side of the helmet, right?
But they did test it.
When was that?
But Nike used to send a lot of because we were like one of the only first Nike schools.
Oh, you guys were like bigger than Oregon. Like you were because Phil and I loved Joe. They were real tight.
Yeah. Oregon, Penn State, and North Carolina were the first 3 Nike schools, pretty much. The Nikes were the Pepsi State Nike Lions.
Pepsi State Nike.
That's who we were, baby.
I feel like Nike doesn't like us as much anymore.
No,
we don't get nearly get the love.
The Air Jordan logo, that that's their marquee teams wear those, and it's like I don't understand how we,
Dude, I'll tell you what. When I go into Michigan on a visit and seeing, and it's kind of a bad sell. You should never pick a school. You know the whole thing. They pick a school for a uniform, but as a Michigan player, they show you it's called PEs, player exclusives, and they have all these Michigan Jordans, and some of them are worth like $5,000.
My buddy's kid plays for them, so I get all these, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to see these.
What? I tried them on, and I was in the Michigan, changing room trying to figure out, the thing is, as a recruit, how can I find a way to like steal some gloves? And not actually, like, you're a recruit. They want to give you gloves. They just can't legally do it. That's how it works. I don't know if that wasn't a thing for you, but it was like, I want the gloves to wear. I was in there figuring out how to try to get the shoes in the backpack. I was like, I want these player. They were Jordan 1 Michigan Air. It was the coolest thing ever. It was a little bit of a sell, but it's okay. I was never going to Michigan.
I wanted a pair of turf shoes.
Turf shoes? Yeah. Like in what? Oh, from Michigan?
No.
Oh, just in general?
I always liked Michigan, but I didn't visit them. I got them from here.
A lot of the guys actually wear these turf-like shoes. They're called Shark something. Because now we have these huge, bulky cleats that we wear that are like, if you look on the guys, they almost look like they're like armored. I like a little bit of a lighter cleat, man. Because, what you didn't have back in the day? We wear knee braces now.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Have you ever seen an offensive lineman just like fall Your knee brace doesn't get caught. It's the most.
Last week he blew his knee out.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
didn't get, it was like more of a non-contact injury.
No.
He was getting back in his pass set and his knee popped.
They can't always save you. Yeah, I
No,
know.
they don't.
No.
They save you in a pile.
Right.
I think those knee braces. And I
Getting-
think that, like, if you watch the 80s, Joe had the whole team wearing those.
Mm.
But they just wore the inside, outside, and then they take them on. You guys have the pro-fitted Donjoys now.
Oh, yeah, those are the Donjoy. They cost a lot of them. You get
Yes,
fitted.
they
When
do.
you come in as an offensive,
Exactly.
defensive lineman, you get fitted for them. And, yeah, it's not. And then the quarterbacks, fun fact, sometimes you'll catch a glimpse on social media of like Drew Aller, passing, and people are like, oh my God, why does he have a knee brace on? What happened to Drew? And it's like, no, quarterbacks in practice just wear knee braces on their plant leg, on their opposite leg from their throwing arm, because when they're planting up, it can get, hit.
Somebody falls
And,
into it.
yeah. So try to be careful with that.
Absolutely, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you talk about the gloves that you wanted to steal back when you were. The
Yeah.
gloves we had then, they were like boxing gloves.
Oh, well, they weren't. That's right.
In the
I'm-
80s.
I'm thinking you guys had like actual gloves. We have like the logo. That's why you wanted this, because you wanted to go back to your high school as a recruit and have Penn State gloves.
Yeah, let me try to think now. Our glove situation was early. We had to when we wore the blue uniforms, we played. We had to wear white gloves on the road. We literally had white from head to toe, except for our shoes. So white uniform, white helmet, and white gloves. But then when you were at home, because you had to have alternating colors to the opposing team, because what was going on back before me, well before you, was like, say, like a team like Michigan State, when they played a team like Illinois, Michigan State's offensive line came out and they had spray painted all their gloves bright orange, because when you're in here, the referee won't see the hand.
Can't see it.
And then they had to stop that because, again, Michigan State, this big green and white team, come out and they have fluorescent orange spray paint on their gloves, and they're playing against Illinois. You're like, okay, we have to do something about this. So I think for a year or two, we had to wear white gloves on the road because you had to the opposite colors of what your opponents were wearing. So obviously the darker, the home team wore dark jerseys, so we had to wear white gloves. And then it became to the point where I think the NCAA came in and said, okay, well, not everybody can afford multiple sets of gloves for their guys, like a MAC team. You know what I mean?
Right.
You have to have. Those gloves are not. This is the old Newman gloves back in the day. They were awesome.
A little different than
But
now.
then they just made it by 1995. I think it was 1995. It was like they're just going to go one standard color of gray, and that's where that came from. Yeah, but I remember Michigan State came out with fluorescent gloves.
It's smart. Coaches say that. They're like, yo, if you're playing a team that's wearing white, wear white gloves. Can't take it to that extent. But do you know where the black shoes came from? Why we wear black shoes?
We always do.
Well, yeah, but do you know why it started? I'm not going to pretend like I know the story. I think Spider told me.
I didn't think they made white shoes back in the 60s.
Well, probably not. But the main reason was that Joe Paterno, as a little kid from Spider, got, I believe his uncle or someone took him to a Yankees game. And he saw how they came out and they were all, they were looking crazy. Did he tell you guys that?
I read a story about it.
Okay.
And then his uncle was like, now look over there. And it was the St. Louis Cardinals, and they were all like this.
Yeah, like red, white, all over.
Shoes, some wearing white, some wearing black. And he goes, look at those New York Yankees uniforms right there. And that's why we were just so very standard. That's why I love our uniform. When you turn the television on and you sit there and say, who's playing? Because you can't tell because everybody's in different uniforms all the time. When you turn a Penn State game on, you say, that's Penn State.
Yeah, it means
that's
something.
That's the greatest damn thing I know of.
It does. And when because you're Oregon, you switch in a uniform every other week. We'll probably see some
Maryland,
new, Maryland, Under Armour, Nike. You get all these uniforms. There is something to be said in the Penn State jersey.
Night. They're going to come out and be, this is our Big Ten title uniform collection here. And you're like, whatever. I'm going to put my white helmet on and my white jersey, and we're going to kick the snot out of you.
Yo,
I hope you wear your mirrored helmets and, punks.
I'm over it, man. I'm over it. No, well, Goon, we got about a minute left. I'm excited. Where we sit right now, Oregon is favored by 3.5 points over Penn State. Opportunities all there. Be the number one team in the nation. Go to the playoffs. You got it all in front of you if you're Penn State. And even if you do lose, if you're Penn State, you are most likely still hosting a home playoff game. We'll see how the college football playoffs shake out.
A 2-week window.
With only a 2-week window. Little bit less rest, that is for sure. So James Franklin, like I said, he's got a busy week. Signing day is Wednesday, and
But,
then
you know,
Oregon is Saturday night.
I mean, are guys still getting flipped right now?
You're doing a little bit of work. I think there's a couple guys you might be trying to flip
See, I don't
last second.
understand why you're putting these teams that are playing in the conference titles at an unfair advantage.
It is, but I guess they had to move it up. Now, what I think signing day should have been not this week, but next week when nobody's playing.
Yeah.
I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah. Because there's recruiting dead periods. Like when they're like,
yeah, well, you can't talk to recruits.
When I was a college football coach, I would go to the national coaches convention and stuff like that. But at that point, it was the Monday before was the national title game. You know what I mean? And it was a dead period for schools that they can't recruit because the two teams playing for the national title aren't allowed to recruit because they're still playing.
Right.
You know
right.
what I mean? So there's no contact with the recruits and stuff like that. So they should have made. You're exactly right. They should make it next week.
It's funny you say that with deadlines and you being in the national championship. Now it's a thing. If you play late enough into the season, you can actually have guys that are early enrollees basically come with your team. Yeah. That's happened now. There's some crazy rules that go on with that stuff.
Practice with you too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they can start. No, they can't play, but they can practice. There's multiple.
Like right now, if you were still playing, you graduate next week, right? Right. You graduated December 22nd.
Right.
Now you're going to have to stay here if you're playing for the national title until January 20th. We're in a whole nother semester there.
That's a good point. Yeah, and if you're graduating, you don't plan on coming back, you're not doing school.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's gonna be really So those early enrollees, they get here January whatever.
13th.
13th. Okay. Yeah, that's and they'd get here before that. Practices with the team for our young guys. If we go to the national championship, that's important.
But they have to wait until January?
Yes, they can't come into January.
Okay.
I think. I don't really know the rules on that. I guess once you graduate high school, I think you're pretty much good to go. Now I think there's stuff with Penn State that has to get
these kids have to graduate in December.
Correct.
Yeah. So
you have to graduate in December to be able to do
it. They're already be graduated by then.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So I think they'll probably be up here as soon as they possibly can. Maybe even Christmas week.
It's gonna be fun to watch. Corey Smith, shout out Miss Corey Smith. I will probably not be in Indianapolis. I'll probably be doing radio shows here if I'm going to be honest. But parent of Corey Smith, young running back that's going to be an absolute stud for us. He put one dude on a knee, and man, he's got some nasty juke moves. I'm excited for some of these young guys. We saw him. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We are at the Student Bookstore downtown here every Sunday morning after home games. 830 people in here. Love you guys. It means a lot. I'll have a post-game show out that's mainly just about Oregon, pretty concise, out tonight. So be on the lookout for that. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Big Goon, thank you very much.
See you tomorrow, Bubba.
Yep, see you tomorrow.